Welcome to Poems by Yas. This is episode 14, and my topic today is called The Flight. I'm going to share my poem, The Flight, and I'm going to share a personal story because each episode I share a little bit about myself or somebody that I know so you get to know me better. I'm a registered nurse, and many years ago I went to do a year contract in Saudi Arabia. So the story I'm going to tell is about my flight there and what happened at the airport. So stay tuned for that very interesting story. And then I'm going to share another story about the youngest female to fly solo around the world. And then I'll share tips about flying and being comfortable on a flight. But first, let me start with my poem, The Flight. I love to travel to different places, taking the plane to get to my destination. Looking out the window of the plane, I can see mountains and landscapes. Lucky to get a window seat in the plane, I take a picture of the land beneath to hold on to as a memory for everyone to see. In the poem, I talk about traveling to different places. I'm a registered nurse and I'm from Canada and I have an Ontario license to work as a nurse, and people from Canada can go to Saudi Arabia to work with their nursing license, but they usually do it through an agency in the United States. So there's one agency that did all my paperwork, so I always communicated with the same person. So they did my paperwork and they found me a hospital to work at, and the person I had the interview with was also from Canada, so I felt comfortable. So he arranged the flight for me. So when I went on the plane, I was so excited to have an opportunity to have a new experience. So I was looking out the window and I took a picture of the scenery, to take a picture of the view and remember, okay, this is going to be an adventure to work in a different country. When I got to the airport, I was expecting somebody to hold a sign with my name. So when I waited, I didn't see anybody. There was actually nobody there. And I waited for half hour and I looked around and I started to realize that nobody was going to come pick me up from the airport. Then I was wondering where I could buy a cell phone. I couldn't buy a cell phone there. I didn't see a payphone. I couldn't use the payphone. And there was a taxi driver that saw me waiting for quite a while, and he's like, I can drop you off somewhere. And I said, well, I need a cell phone. And I asked if I can use his phone to call the United States. So he said, yeah, you can use my phone. So I used his cell phone to call the agency because I wrote the number down. So luckily I had the number with me. And I called him and said, look, I'm at the airport, but nobody's here to pick me up. And he said that he made a mistake. He thought I was coming the following day, so he didn't arrange transportation for me. And it was also late at night, so he said just hold on. He was gonna make calls and arrange a ride for me. So the guy that lent me a cell phone waited there and said, okay, you can use my cell phone, because I needed the agency to call me back and to confirm the ride. So I had to wait about an hour or 2 hours at the airport. And finally my transportation came, and I also looked at the paperwork to make sure my name was on the paper, because I don't want to go with a stranger, especially in a different country. So this is the experience that I had. So I could have taken it a different way. I could have cried at the airport, why is nobody picking me up and why did this happen? But I just took it as it is. Nobody was there. I had to think, what am I gonna do? Nobody's was there to pick me up at the airport. I tried to look for a cell phone. Somebody was very nice and offered me their phone, so I borrowed their phone to make the call, and that's how it was okay. And then I arrived an hour later. They put me up in a hotel that was part of the compound, and everything was great from there. They gave me a very nice apartment, and because I did the contract, they paid for my living there. So I didn't have to pay for living, I just had to pay for food, and everybody spoke English in the hospital, so it was a really good experience that I had for the 1 year that I was there. I'm going to talk about a girl that does really good. She's a pilot. She started flying when she was 14 years old. That shows us that even when we're young, we can do anything. We just have to put our mind to what we want to do and go through with it. She was very good at some of the classes that she did at school. and she studied really hard, and her parents helped her because her parents were pilots. So when she was 19 years old, she decided to travel around the world on a plane. So she's the first woman to travel around the world in a small plane, and she did it when she was 19 years old in August of 2021 in Belgium. That's where she started her mission, and she did succeed. So it's really great when women, or even men, anybody that has a goal and they go towards it and they achieve it. And by doing this, she made a name for herself, and she's well known, and there's many news articles about her, and she's inspiring other people to go towards their goals. So congratulations to her for her achievement. Tips for when you're going on your next flight is keep your electronics charged before you go, because you don't want your batteries to run out on your cell phone or your electronics. Pack some snacks because you don't want to be hungry, because some flights don't serve food. And don't wear gloves because gloves can easily contaminate, but have your hand sanitizer accessible so your hands can be clean and wipe down the area that you're sitting. Sometimes the plane can be really noisy, so wear your earplugs or noise cancellation headphones. But also keep in mind, maybe the person next to you on the flight can make good conversation. Maybe you can meet a friend. Many years ago when I was traveling, I traveled to Korea, South Korea, and I met a girl on the plane, and we talked most of the way there, and it made the flight seem like it wasn't as long as it really was. And I made a new friend, and we lost touch after that, but many years later we reconnected on social media, and we're friends to this day. So sometimes you don't know who you'll meet. And also ask for upgrades when you're on that flight. You can be accommodated sometimes. Do you have a tip that can help other people when they're going on their flight? If you do, I'd like to hear about it, and it might help somebody else. So write it in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Poems by Yas, and next week my poem is The Journey. So join me next Sunday for The Journey.